Alert.
And that breaking news involves the arrest of a Houston area man known for making YouTube videos criticizing police. Late this afternoon, Earl Worden was taken into custody by McAllen police after being charged with sexual assault of a child. These allegations date back to 2002. New evidence was obtained by Deer Park police that led to the new charge.
In November of 2015, 55-year-old Earl David Worden would post his first YouTube video titled Nassau Bay, Texas, First Amendment Audit. Just prior to this video being posted, Earl had been filming some signs near to the Nassau Bay City Police Department and had a run-in with some officers, which led him to being arrested and sent to jail. So he decided to return and do what's called an audit of the station.
What's that? Why are you taking my phone? All because you're under arrest and I don't want you making any phone calls in the backseat of the patrol car. That's why. Here, come on. That way it doesn't drop and break because now it's my responsibility. Take the case.
77, sir.
Auditors, or First Amendment auditors, have been around on YouTube for well over a decade at this point. I'm pretty sure at least 70% of you watching this video would have come across an audit video or two during your time on the platform. But for those of you who aren't aware, auditors are a bunch of people who go around filming properties such as post offices, police stations, public libraries, and other government buildings to test their right to film. In the United States, this would be covered by the First Amendment, hence the name First Amendment auditors. The public space passes the test if the audit is uneventful, and fails if a public employee, normally a police officer, attempts to stop them from filming, threatens them with arrest, or removes them from the public space. The audits themselves have become a form of activism, with proponents stating that they're doing it to promote a transparent and open government. According to reports, Earl had been auditing for about a year leading up to November 2015, although the original audits haven't been posted to YouTube and are more than likely located on an obscure auditing forum board. Earl hadn't just built one YouTube channel but rather two over the years, with both channels gaining over 100,000 subscribers. Some of his videos had garnered millions of views. But even though auditing gave him a small amount of fame and fortune, it would ultimately lead to his thankful demise. You see, he was hiding a disturbing secret from his audience, and if it wasn't for his online activities, then well, that secret would have remained hidden.
Because you know how the saying goes, there's three sides to every story. There's her side, his side, and the truth in the middle. So we want to get your side. We want to get an understanding, where are they coming up with this? What happened? What was there? Maybe you did drill holes in the wall in the trailer, but maybe not to spy on taking showers. Maybe there was a legitimate reason you drilled holes in the wall. We don't know. But you know, you lived there, you're the one who was there. So you could explain it.
Not much is known about Earl's early years, but if we're to go off what he told his audience and law enforcement officials, then it's believed that he had spent years in the military, posted in Europe, before eventually being hired by the United States government, where he was tasked to hunt down a certain group of high-ranking officials who fled to South America after World War II. And although this picture does depict him in a military police uniform from around that period, we can't confirm how much of the action he was really involved in. In fact, according to one detective, there isn't any record of Earl ever being in the army. What we can confirm though is that during the mid-80s, he was employed as an armed security guard for a local car dealership in his hometown of Pasadena, Texas. The same detective said that he was 99% sure Earl wanted to get into some kind of law enforcement role moving forward. However, the criminal activities he got up to while working as a security guard would prevent him from doing so. That meant then that Earl's first run-in with the law wasn't in the 2010s and 2020s as a First Amendment auditor. It's around 1:15 a.m. on July 4th, 1985, and a woman is making her way home after spending the evening at a friend's house in Pasadena, Texas. But first, she stops off for a lighter at a local convenience store. After leaving, the woman gets back in her vehicle and continues with her journey. As she pulls into the parking lot of her apartment complex, a white car pulls up behind her and blocks her in. This car in particular has been following her for a while, but it's nothing to fear. It's just the police. A man exits the vehicle and states he's an officer from the Deer Park Police Department and asks to see the woman's driving license. She hands it over and asks why. He says he's investigating a robbery at one of the local 7-Eleven stores. After looking at her license, he tells the woman she'll have to go to the 7-Eleven store in his vehicle so she can be identified by shop employees. The woman thinks nothing of it and follows the order. After all, she spent the night at her friend's home. She knows she isn't a suspect. The pair head towards the 7-Eleven, but out of nowhere the car comes to a halt. The man turns to the woman and tells her she needs to place 2 plastic flex cuffs on. She asks why. He states it's for his safety. She agrees and the journey continues. However, it isn't to the 7-Eleven in question, it's actually to a Circle K store which is close by. When they arrive at the parking lot, the man would sadly go on to rape the woman. Now, before you go thinking that this was a disgraced law enforcement official, it wasn't. It was none other than L. David Worden. He had stolen a vehicle that resembled a police car from the dealership he was working at as an armed security guard, and pretended to be an officer to essentially abduct the woman and rape her. Thankfully, people who knew that Earl had stolen a white car with lights on came forward to police with that information and ultimately put him on police radar. You see, police took a particular interest in Earl because the police vehicles used in the Pasadena area at the time were a specific colour but were never white like the car in question. So when this information was handed over, they knew this was more than likely their man.
If I remember correctly, my case... the victims, one of the victims that I showed my photo lineup to, we actually did a actual physical lineup that you would do like on television. Mm-hmm. Anyway, my victims were all sent to that lineup. And then Houston had a victim, there.
This lady here, probably.
Probably. I think she's the one who identified. There was a victim who identified someone else, and I filed charges on that person. Another detective later on got another case, and she identified him on his case. I think the detective was Ralph McInich. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We had multiple victims and multiple detectives working on it.
Do you think you had multiple assailants running around doing this?
No. I just... the one in Houston, the case that the lady identified really didn't fit this...
The same MO.
The same MO. But I know back then it was very unusual to have stranger on stranger sexual assaults.
Yeah.
But man, I'd have to go back and read the report. I know I got a warrant. I got a warrant for him on a photo lineup.
Mm-hmm. And that would have been the one who was prosecuted?
Probably so.
Yeah. Just wondering how we get to David. You know what I mean? How did we get to David besides just the photo line? How did we make David a suspect to start with? If you can recall.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember. I think it was general knowledge that we had we knew the car was a white car. Back then, Pasadena police cars, because the ladies thought that the guy was actually a police officer.
I remember white police cars.
Yeah, but our cars at the time were mostly what we call Colombian green, and then we started changing the color scheme to like a dark blue on the newer cars. We never really, here in Pasadena, we never really had a white car.
Yeah.
And we knew it was someone who, so, yeah, like I'm going just by memory, but I think we knew that there was a guy out there at 225 and Richie who worked as a security guard, you know, driving a white car with overhead lights and stuff on. Yeah. And so I went out there and got his name and stuff like that, got his DL photo, and all of a sudden he started acting guilty. You know, he called my lawyer, things like that. So just based on his reaction, I knew I was going down the right path. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for right now, I mean, there may have been something else I can't remember.
This hadn't been the first time a woman had been raped under similar circumstances in the local area in the summer of 1985. It was just the latest one, and although charges would never be placed against Earl for all the incidents, detectives believe that he was responsible for them. After all, how many people were going around pretending to be police officers, abducting women and raping them? I'll give you a clue. Not many. In the end, Earl David Worden would receive something called shock probation for the rape and the unauthorized use of a motor vehicle charges. For those of you who aren't aware, shock probation is a sentence in where a judge sends the offender to prison for a short period and then suspends the remainder of the sentence in favor of probation, in the hopes that the initial experience will stop the person from reoffending. Quite a shocking sentence, to say the least. Many believe the judge was lenient because Earl was a first-time offender. But as you'll soon find out, this wouldn't be the last time he would go on to do something truly disturbing.
So he got shock probation for this rape?
For the rape?
Armed weapon? Mm-hmm. And
aggravated sexual assault.
Yeah. You know, back then what the district attorneys would tell us as detectives is that, okay, we're going to take the best case we got and
run with it,
and then during the punishment phase, we'll bring up the others that other rapes that he committed, and we'll enhance the punishment. Mm-hmm. So apparently, somewhere along the line, the ball got dropped, and they just offered him shock probation.
Well, they got beat up with this motion, because that motion keeps all that information out of the trial. That's what that motion is about for David. I mean, that's David's motion. That's his attorney filing that paper, saying, hey, that part about David raping those other women, that part about David having a stolen car, that part about David's brother, when you're making the arrest of David, and David's brother pulls up in the unauthorized vehicle while the arrest is going down,
wow.
None of that can come into the trial. Okay, so that's the
motion. Yeah, a good attorney and a liberal
judge. It isn't entirely clear what Earl got up to following this whole ordeal, but we do know that he had several run-ins with the law during the 90s. A lot of the charges would go on to be dismissed though. However, in 1998, he got sentenced to 5 years in prison for carrying a gun while being a felon. Again, we don't exactly know what he got up to following his release from prison, but the next time he made an appearance on a public platform would be during the 2010s when he decided to pick up a camera and go auditing. Earl would go on to build two very successful YouTube channels, News Now Houston and News Now Community. Both gained hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views. Of course, his audience weren't aware of his criminal past, but it didn't take long for his detractors to pop out of the woodwork and expose his past. The more famous he became, the more they wanted to expose him. After all, who really wants to follow a convicted rapist? Well, actually, some people did, because even though his past was out in the open, some continued to follow him on his journey for whatever reason they did. In December of 2015, just a month after creating his first YouTube channel, Earl decided he wanted to take some B-roll footage of the Shell refinery in Deer Park, Texas, to use as part of a story he was going to cover. However, in his own words, it would end up developing into an audit after the security guard came out to tell him to delete the footage.
All these plants that are around here, so they're not trying to harass you or anything like that. They just want to make sure that what you're doing is legit. Okay, so that's the reason why you're being contacted, is because they have extra security out here because of this would be a target area for terrorists.
Okay, so this is an extra job for you, that you're off duty and working for them?
Yes, sir. It's approved with the police department, though. Yes, sir.
Okay, so am I you detaining me, or
no? I'm
free to go?
I'm asking you to ask you what it is, why you're videotaping, what's the reason for it, and so on and so forth.
How you doing, sir?
Hi, what's your name? Tryon?
Yes, sir.
I like that name. That's different.
You mind doing me a favor? Just
what?
for a second, you want to take your hand out your pocket?
I don't have anything in my pocket.
Okay, we don't know that, sir. We don't know that.
Look. There's nothing in the pocket. Okay, there's nothing in the pocket. I don't want to get shot. I have no weapons on me.
Well, we don't.
I don't even have a pocket knife, nothing,
All right,
okay?
well, just keep your hands out of your pocket, just like ours are out of our pockets, all right?
Hey, I'm sorry to try. You doing all right today?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, I was doing better a minute ago before you guys showed up.
Well, this is what's going on, okay?
He already explained you guys are out here because I took some pictures.
No, that's not why we're out here. That's not against the law. We're out here because it's not normal for somebody to take pictures of the chemical plant, and we work in an extra job. And
I got that.
You have every right to be here.
Right.
But for your safety and mine, it's just a few things we're going to ask of you, just so we'll all be safe.
Earl would return to the Shell refinery the following day, but this time around he was arrested by police after becoming confrontational. While at the refinery, he'd been asked to leave by an on-site police deputy due to safety reasons, but Earl being Earl, he declined to do so. When said deputy asked him for his ID, he refused to give it to him, so Earl was physically restrained so the deputy could complete his investigation. Following this, he would be charged with interfering with duties of a public servant, but the charges would be dropped some months later. So you'd think that he'd just move on from this whole situation. He's had his issues with them, he's captured some content, and in the end, the charges were dropped. But no, Earl took it upon himself to continue to go back there and antagonize some of the higher-ups. But what he didn't realize was that it would be this issue with Shell that would ultimately expose something dark about his past. A video that has since been removed from YouTube depicted Earl speaking about a higher-up at the Shell refinery. He had spoken about this individual in the past, but this time around, he got a bit more personal than usual. He went on to say that he knew where his daughters lived, what church he went to, where his daughters went to school, amongst other personal information. In response to the video, the higher-up contacted the local police and told them he felt a genuine threat from Earl, so they went to investigate. Detectives assigned to the case wanted to figure out who this Earl person was to see if there was a genuine threat. Once they had done a background check, red flags emerged. Earl was a felon who had been convicted, as you know, of some serious crimes, and so detectives needed to conduct interviews with Earl's relatives, including his children and the mother of his children, to see what he was like nowadays. What they found out during those interviews, ladies and gentlemen, was horrifying, to say the least.
I video record all my interactions with law enforcement. I'm not saying you guys are bad guys. I don't know you guys, but I will tell you that in light of the fact that
there are some bad cops out there. I understand that.
Well, in light of the fact that we just filed a lawsuit against Shell, it's awful funny this comes about.
Yeah.
So, what can I do for you?
I guess what is the deal with you and Shell? Because I noticed like you have been, or you posted some videos about Shell and that 10.
Oh, so you do watch my stuff?
Huh? Yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
Okay.
It's pretty sharp, you know. It's like,
okay, so here,
I don't want to really tell you the truth. Actually, like fill me in. Actually, because I do not know the rules. Surprisingly, because I have not been on patrol in a very long time. What are the laws like with sidewalks and easements and all that other stuff?
It's really simple, and you should have. Are you a certified police officer in the state of Texas? If you are, you just had updated training in January of 2016 on public photography and open carry.
Okay. I remember the open carry part, but you got to understand legal update.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, legal update is extremely boring.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, so
who does he work for?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
Because I don't want any. I don't want him to have any hassles or problems because of what I do.
No, that's no problem.
But
But what is the law? Can you tell me though?
Anything I can see from public sidewalk, I can photograph.
So you can stand on the sidewalk?
If I'm standing on a public sidewalk, the Supreme Court has ruled that it's all good.
Okay.
If you stand in your window butt naked, God forbid, and I wanted to take a photograph of you, I can do it from the public sidewalk, any place public. Okay, it's that simple. That's the short version.
Yeah, because we used to have somebody that worked here that always got on to the, I don't want to call them solicitors. I guess they are the car wash people.
Yeah, they're kind of solicitors.
We used to always used to always tell them to get off the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's soliciting something different. We're talking about public photography.
Okay.
Yeah, soliciting's different. You may have city ordinances that regard to soliciting and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's also public safety because they would be either on the curbside or on the median in the middle, like Center Street, how it's got the median. They would stand in the middle of that and hold up their flyers for the car wash, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And try to explain to them, if there's an accident and the car jumps the curb, there's nothing to protect you. There's no place for you to back off of without stepping into traffic. So it's just, for us, that was a big safety thing. And I know, like, if you're up there at Shell, there's not a whole lot of public space before you step into the roadway.
Sure.
So I'm sure that's probably...
And I walk very close to the roadway on purpose. Yeah. So what's happened with me and Shell? All right, so I got arrested outside of Shell by the Harris County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
They stopped me because I was taking pictures of trash along the highway. Now, I had a previous interaction, and it's on my channel, with a couple of your personnel. Sergeant, black guy. How many black sergeants you got?
One.
Then you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
What's his name?
Tryon.
Tryon, that's him.
Okay.
And another guy, I don't know. They did fine.
Okay.
That was, as far as I was concerned, I was done with Shell as far as testing them at that point.
So do you go around and test the security for chemical plants or something?
It's not testing security. It's not about testing security. It's about testing whatever entity that I'm at. It's about testing them to ensure they respect my right to be on public property and take photographs.
Okay.
It's that simple. Shell, understandably, is sensitive to this issue, as are most chemical plants around here. Now, I will tell you, and if necessary, I'll provide you with the proper contact point, that anytime I find something that's inappropriate or a security risk out in the field, I have a contact at Homeland Security that I reach out to and give that information to them. If some nutbag contacts me and says, I'm going to go blow up a building, I send that all on to Homeland Security. I don't, I'm not out here to get anybody hurt. That's not what I do. Okay. The whole purpose of what I do is to operate within the law. And of course, I was the day I got arrested. However,
Harris County or us?
It's Harris County that arrested me.
Okay.
Tim Hill was there, and I was out. I'd come back to take pictures of the trash along the roadway. This is the birthplace of Texas, and to me, it is disrespectful.
Well, if you go through Brenham, they're the birthplace of Texas. Yeah. If you go down south, they're the birthplace of Texas. If you go to San Antonio, to Goliad,
but we have all the monuments here, or the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
And so I had gone back to get pictures of the trash along the roadway, and I had identified myself to Sergeant Tryon. I gave him a business card. Once I realized that he wasn't going to push me about my identity, at that point, most of the time when it comes to dealing with police officers, and you don't see it in my videos because I cut it out, I'll go ahead and give him a business card. Okay. If you're not demanding ID, then I'm done.
Yeah.
If you're not telling me I can't be someplace that I can be, we're done. And they did none of that. I ID'd to Sergeant Tryon, told them that I was going to come back at a later date and get pictures of the trash along the highway. They said that they would put that in the report and put my description and name in there so that nobody bothered me when I came back. I was down on the Monument Road, whatever that road is. Battleground Road. Had an interaction with the Sheriff's Department there. They told me, the same thing. I'm out on the public road taking pictures of plants. Plants called on me. Sheriff's Department showed up. Hey, you're doing fine. Before I left the area, I thought I'd run by and get my pictures of the trash. That's when I ran afoul with the Sheriff's Department again, as Harris County Sheriff's Department. They had nothing to arrest me for, so they had to invent a charge. Tim Hill was there, and he told them, and I have the audio on a video, and he knows I have it, of him directing the deputy to create a charge to arrest me for.
What exactly did he say?
Interfering. That's what they got me for. Interfering in public duties.
Oh, okay.
Said that I didn't raise my hands fast enough for a pat down.
Oh.
Beat it in court.
Yeah.
But I didn't beat the ride, and that's the whole purpose. And it cost me about $10,000, all things considered.
To Harris County?
Oh, well, no, lawyer fees, bond,
okay.
You guys don't see the other side of the coin when you arrest somebody out here. And this was just a Class B misdemeanor. It's expensive. It's expensive to fight it. It's expensive to make bond.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, too many police officers, all they want to do is make that arrest. And it's unfortunate. This is what's creating the rift between law enforcement and the citizens today. We've gone for so many years, we've had broken windows policing. And now we're realizing that all that has done is put a wedge between the community and the people. I'm not anti-cop. Not
right.
I don't know how much you know about me. I'm also an ex-cop. Worked in federal law enforcement. Also worked for the government.
When did you work for the government?
After I got in trouble. How about that?
Who did you work for?
I initially worked for the government. I worked for a government agency, that I cannot name because I have a confidentiality agreement with the Homeland Security. And I was tasked to the U.S. Marshal Service, and I worked in South America, chasing fugitives in South America. After I got in trouble, I continued to work for the government through a contractor.
What'd you get in trouble for?
Sexual assault.
Okay.
1985, 86.
And they still hired you?
They continued to use me because I had a lot of contacts in the area that I was working for a variety of reasons. But anyway,
it's interesting.
It's more common than you realize. I did that for a while, and that's it. That's the short version on that.
So you were actually working for the U.S. Marshals?
Before I got in trouble, I was tasked to the U.S. Marshals.
Tasked, okay.
Do you understand the word tasked?
Yeah.
Lent to them. Yeah. Lent to them because when I was in the military, I spent my time in Europe, and so I had a lot of contacts there. In South America, there were a lot of World War II fugitives, Nazis that had fled to South America. There were also a lot of Americans that were fleeing down there. So I had Argentina in particular, but not just Argentina. The whole area down there was in the 80s a haven for Americans to flee to as well. So having somebody down there with contacts was handy for them. So there's a short version on that. I don't know how much you're getting from DHS on the latest bulletin, but that's it.
What bulletin?
You should have a bulletin on me. Maybe they've stopped publishing it now. Last year they used to publish them about every 45 days.
Yeah, because anything we got on you is, it's been a while.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think the last time was a year, 2 years ago or something. And one of your postings, you made a comment about something about drones. You were going to get your hands on a drone or something. So that I think that was the last thing. Was a heads up that hey, just be aware of this guy. Maybe now have aerial photos or something. But
what can I get that you can't get off Google Earth?
Well, there's certain things if you see Google Earth, in certain restricted areas they'll fuzzy out. You can only zoom in so far.
It doesn't
for definition purposes.
It doesn't
Plus,
serve,
it's also Google Earth is 6 months to a year behind in most of their images.
It doesn't serve any purpose for me.
Right.
Okay. Other than sometimes to piss Shell off. If they want to rain on my parade, I'm always happy to rain back. Now, I will tell you that it is my policy to not involve people's families in things. If you have a problem with me, you want to come after me, that's fine. I'm fair game. I'm public. I got no issue with that. I have had trouble before with people involving my family members, police officers specifically. And my go-to is very simple. If you bring my family into it, your family becomes fair game. I will publish everything about them. I will go to their place of residence and photograph them and publish it.
Like which family you're talking about?
Police officers' families.
Oh, like your family members. Who's messing with your family members?
Oh, this has been previously. Precinct 8, I had a constable over there that wanted to publish one of my daughter's home addresses and some information about her. Usually when I let them know that I'm going to, return the favor, that usually stops it. We'll bring it to a halt. But I can tell you that I am extremely upset with this stuff with Mr. Hill.
Why?
I have no idea why he's making an allegation against me with his daughters. So let's get to it.
Okay, well, Mr. Hill, this is the whole reason why you're here, okay? And you know you're here freely and all that jazz, right? You're here and all that good stuff, and you're not under arrest or anything like that? Okay. Well, you posted a video to YouTube talking about Mr. Hill's daughters, right? Like you said, like there's like a beach in the background, and you're wearing like a blue shirt like that, and you say, "I know where I can find Mr. Hill's wife."
Ah, okay.
Church.
I know the video you're talking about. Okay.
Is there a reason why you said all that about him? Did he do anything to make you mad?
No. It's strictly to make the point. Okay, Shell is so worried about security. Okay, I recently had. It has become a thing. You know, I'm not just the only person that does this. There are people throughout the United States, and so when they travel through here now, because of the trouble I had with Shell, it is like a rite of passage. They go by Shell and take. So, and usually when they do that, I try to be around to make sure they don't get in trouble. And so the last time that there was a guy out there, the Shell security guard tried to ram me.
Okay.
I never left my vehicle, never got out of my vehicle. He tried to ram me. Okay, so they are escalating out there, which is why I have not been back out there. I'm not out here to get anybody hurt, and I'm certainly not out here to get myself hurt. Okay? So the video you're talking about was not directed specifically at Tim Hill. The idea was to point out the fact that, you know, they're so worried about security, yet they're giving me all the information. I can tell you how many deputies are on duty up there at any given time. I can tell you police officers. What agency, you know. I can tell you how many security guards they have on staff, because sometimes when I've been out there to film, they come flooding out. I can tell you the names of the 2 assistant directors. I can tell you the name, Tim Hill's name. I can give you all kinds of information about him, because when I had trouble with him, you know, I have people that do research. I don't ask them to do it, they just do it, and they send me all this information.
Okay.
This is how I know about. I didn't realize Tim Hill. I don't retain this information because I don't need it. Okay? I'm not going after anybody. If I want to go after somebody, I'm going after them in court.
Okay.
Not on the street. As long as they're not out there shooting at me, there's nothing to gain by going after somebody except getting my dumb ass thrown in jail.
Yeah.
I'm all about not getting thrown in jail for something I actually do wrong. Okay, so that was the purpose of that video, was just to point out that Shell, being all about security, is giving everybody all this information.
Okay. So yeah, you post that about his daughter. You say, I know who his daughter is, and then you say, I know how to find his daughter. All right. That kind of.
It was all over her Facebook, which I think she may have cleaned up now. I hope so.
Well, yeah, I would too.
I pointed out to him.
But then that, you know, to any father, you're a father of daughters, right? Any father of daughters out would scare somebody, correct? Wouldn't that scare? You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody, hold on, listen. If somebody posts something about a daughter,
no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with you. I understand that. I understand that. If that is all the allegations there is, well, I just explained to you what the purpose was.
Yeah.
I am not violent, contrary to what you may believe or what you may hear or what you may read.
I've never heard of you until a couple weeks ago.
Oh, but you've got so what you've got. So what you've got is a criminal history report and all this paperwork and all this documentation and most of which is bullshit. Okay, but you don't know me. So when you look at that, I've been where you're at. Okay, I've been on the paper trail. So you're looking at this career criminal, sex offender, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Put the paperwork away and start looking at me.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not, like I said, I'm not anti-police. I'm not about violence. I never encourage people to commit acts of violence. And matter of fact, if you go through all my videos, you'll find videos and commentary frequently where I specifically tell people, you know, that I do not support acts of violence or ask for acts of violence against people that have necessarily harm me.
Okay, so that brings alert to Hill, and that brings alert to our police department, right? So we start doing homework on you, and we find out that you're a sex offender.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we start doing a little bit more digging on you because, you know, they start to build like a file on you because they want to get to know you, right? Like you said.
Build that
Well,
paper history trail.
Well, your intel division is building a file on me for the Fusion Center. I know how it works. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, not at the Fusion Center. I've heard of the Fusion Center. You know what I'm saying? So, well, and then they find a report made by Pasadena Police Department regarding in 1996. It's in regards to indecency with a child. Back when you were living on. Were you familiar with that?
I am familiar with that. It was cleared by Pasadena PD after I took a polygraph.
You took a polygraph for him?
I sure did. Someplace out on Spencer, what they were using at the time.
I don't see anything in the report about a polygraph.
Yeah, it happened. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, so I'm assigned this case. I have no idea who you are, so I start reaching out. And what they tell me is they made the report to Pasadena, to a Detective Kelly Reed.
Okay.
Okay, he does a forensic interview with. She discloses in the forensic interview that you pull her pants down and touch her.
Okay.
In this forensic interview. All right. Well, it happens when y'all are living on. Back in '96, it's referred to HPD for follow-up. There's nothing about an interview or a polygraph or anything in here.
Okay.
And I've reached out to Detective Kelly Reed, who has since retired, and he says he doesn't remember anything about the case because it was just referred. Now, is there a different case out there at Pasadena?
No, that's it.
This is it?
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Okay. So we reach out to HPD, and they don't have any. It's like the case fell off the face of the earth.
It was made through CPS, so CPS may have the file.
Says CPS was not involved, and it'd be easy to corroborate that information. But so I'm tasked with reaching out to. I'll refer to because that's the initial case. She's all that good stuff, right? So she reaches out. I talk to her, and she vividly remembers it. She remembers you doing it. She remembers you pulling her pants down. She remembers. She tells me that in a statement.
Okay.
Okay. So, did you touch her down there?
No.
Did you do anything? Did you?
You want to schedule another polygraph? I'll take it.
Okay. Yeah, we can do. I don't have a polygrapher here, but we can take it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
We can get that set up.
Yeah. So, here's what happened. All right, and split up. I had gone back to my ex-wife.
Who's your ex-wife? Okay.
I'd gone back to my ex-wife. All my kids are living at home. Okay, we bought that place out in town. Kids all were living there with me. Came one night and spent the night. All right. She slept between her two older sisters in a bedroom with the locked door because their brother kept going in there. So they had locked the door. Next morning, I took her home, dropped her off, and then this is what I got.
So did you ever take a polygraph? Because there's nothing in here about a polygraph.
I did take a polygraph.
Who made you? Who?
They didn't make me do anything. I volunteered for it, just like I'm volunteering for it now.
Who had you take the polygraph though?
Pasadena PD.
Pasadena PD.
It was Pasadena. Houston. Nobody else was ever involved. It was all Pasadena PD because it had occurred. They thought it occurred in Pasadena.
Okay.
Okay, but it was actually City of Houston.
Do you remember who did the polygraph? I know it's a while ago, but it's not something you do on a regular basis, so it may have stuck in your head.
You're talking 30 years. I don't remember. Goad?
Only 96, that was 20 years.
Was it 96 or? Okay. Goad and Associates? Goat and Associates? I don't remember.
Okay.
Honestly, I've slept since then.
And Pasadena PD had you do it, or did
I volunteered. Pasadena PD scheduled it, and I went and took it. I didn't pay for anything. They paid for everything. I didn't pay for anything. So to answer your question, that's what occurred. And after that, because of that allegation, I made sure that I was never around without supervision.
Do you know why she would say that?
You know, I can give you conjecture all day long. Okay? She had a relative that lived with the mom that just vehemently hated me. And the original detective...
Who was the relative?
I don't remember her name. It's her, it is. Anyway, she vehemently hated me, and was aware of the sex offender stuff. So of course, that's what they're going to try to use to go after me. No,
Why would they be
that's
going
what I'm
after you?
Just because she hated me.
Just because of the flat out hate?
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
else?
Now the officer from Pasadena, after I took the polygraph test and I sat down and talked to him again, I'll take your word for it. He said to me that it could tell that I had been coached. So I hope he wrote that in the statement, but that is what he said, and he told me, he says, I'm not going to do anything else with this. And that was the end of it as far as I was concerned.
Okay. I don't see any documentation about that. But to be fair to you, David, Earl or David, because I've been referring to Earl. To be fair to you, David, I definitely will follow up with that information.
Okay. And like I said, if you want to schedule a polygraph,
we will.
I don't have anything to hide. I don't run and hide, and I sure don't run. And I'm going to tell you the truth. It is awful odd to me that this is happening as we're bringing lawsuits against Shell. As far as I'm concerned, Shell owns Deer Park PD. Mm-hmm. So this is.
And he explained to you how we got to it.
I understand. I'm just telling you that from my point of view, you can see how that is suspect.
Understood.
Okay.
We got the complaint was filed with us in regards to Mr. Hill and what he deemed as harassment, basically, from what you posted. So, of course, we look into it, and like you said, we found out, you are a registered offender. So that does throw up a little flag, and due to the statements that were made. And after speaking to you, we understand what your mindset was, but you could see how it could be perceived.
I can see that if you're wanting to mess with me, how you could twist it and use it against me, and that's fine if that's his intent.
So.
But I will state categorically, okay, I have no desire to harm anybody, have no desire to do anything that is outside the law. I don't do that. Okay.
The only thing is with, she says she remembers it and she still has flashbacks, and she saw a therapist about it, and she remembers it itching and hurting. Okay? Mm-hmm. So she remembers it, and so yeah, but did you do anything like give her a bath or anything
No.
In the trailer? Did you change a pull-up? Did they have pull-ups back then?
Nah, I think they did, but no.
Okay, did you change your pull-up?
I think she was old enough she didn't wear diapers then.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so you didn't change her?
No.
Why? Okay.
No. Absolutely.
Well, she's saying she remembers it. She saw therapy for it, and this and that. So, you got any beef with any of your other daughters?
Yeah, I got it.
What's her name? What's your beef with her?
Just, we don't get along. I divorced the mom, and then some of my relationships with some of the kids. Yeah.
Okay. All right, because I talked to some of her other daughters made disclosures of abuse against you as well.
They have.
Right? So, tell me about how you used to drill holes in the wall and look at her into the shower.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you used to fondle her breast.
No.
And when she was you found out she had a boyfriend?
She was old and she had a...
Okay. So you found out that she had a boyfriend, and then what was that? Tell me about that.
We don't have that incident.
Oh, there was a big blow up. We had a big blow up over it. And she went to stay with her grandmother.
Okay.
That's it.
Because she told me that you went into her room and she asked if she was still a virgin, pretty much says, you're going to have to give your virginity to me before your boyfriend.
No.
No? No, because when I talked to her about this, she started crying. It stuck with her. It's stuck with them. It's stuck with her for a long time, and I've interviewed a lot of people, and you can tell the emotion come out, man. You know what I mean? You can tell the emotion comes out.
I have no explanation. Okay. There are a lot of things that I've done wrong in life, and unfortunately, the good that I do doesn't make up for the wrong.
Okay.
But for what you're asking about, okay, no.
What about beef with any of your other daughters?
mean, I don't get along well with most of my kids.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, I spent most of my life in and out of jail.
Okay.
Cheated on their mother. They're all very close to their mother. And I spent a lot of time cheating on their mom.
Okay.
And so there is.
What about it? What about? Do you have any beef with her, problems with her, or anything like that?
I don't speak to any of my children except for.
Okay, so whenever I go and I find and her husband and her children, and we sit down at her house and I start inquiring into you and all this and that, she starts to get pretty emotional, can't really make eye contact with me or anything like that. She tells me, I remember when he used to drill holes in the thin wall at our trailer so he could see the shower. It's weird and it's stuck with me.
Okay, logic. Let's apply a little logic here. So if you've got somebody, you see somebody drilling holes in the wall to peep into a shower, what are you going to do if you're a kid? Are you not going to go tell your mother? Are you not going to go tell the person that?
They all disclosed it to her. That's how I found out, because the way it is, I contacted about this. Okay, and I said, okay, well, who was living with David at the trailer at the time over there on?
The girls.
Okay,
Yeah, the
the girls. And like, well, he was living with his ex-wife, or I think they're still currently married, or something like that. So I contacted, and they don't miss a beat. Literally, 30 seconds into the phone call, oh, I won't put anything past him. He's sexually abused all of our daughters. They told me about it. So
Okay.
your logic, let's apply your logic. They did tell their mom.
When did they tell her?
Huh?
Apparently they didn't tell her when it was going on, or
Are they scared?
I don't know. You're asking me for conjecture. Okay, I can't give it to you. All right, I am telling you, didn't happen. You know, if you want to grab it and run with it, then do what you got to do.
Okay. I mean, don't you think that?
I mean, it's kind of odd,
Yeah.
because we're not talking to them, at the same time. Just talking to them one at a time. Everything else, we're getting kind of consistent storyline.
Okay. If this is what they said, then that's what they said.
She's going to talk too. So she's about the says it's too rough on her. She doesn't want to ruin it. Give at a time.
Talk to her. I mean,
What's she going to tell me?
I guess she's going to tell you the same thing everybody else told you.
Yeah.
They all seem to be telling the same story.
Yeah.
So what?
There you go.
What's the truth behind it then? I mean, why? I mean, when you have multiple people telling a storyline that's consistent, usually that means that there's going to be a certain degree of truth in it. So from your, and that's one of the things we're asking you for your side, and we could just go by what they're saying and be done with it. But
And then you
we
tell me-
want to talk to you because we understand that you're a person who's proud of what he's done and what he's doing. Like you said, you're out there trying to make a difference and make things better with what you're doing. So knowing what we've learned about you, that's the type of person you are. So we're having these allegations that are coming up against you and being brought on by your own children. And they're kind of starting to be consistent. So there's a common thread. So knowing that, we want to talk to you and say, okay, there's got to be a degree of truth. There's something happened somewhere. And want to give you the opportunity to explain it to us. So that this way we could say, okay, we've talked to David, this is David's side. We talked to the girls, this is the girl's side. Because you know how the saying goes, there's three sides to every story. There's her side, his side, and the truth in the middle. So we want to get your side. We want to get an understanding, where are they coming up with this? What happened? What was there? Maybe you did drill holes in the wall in the trailer, but maybe not to spy on taking showers. Maybe there was a legitimate reason you drilled holes in the wall. We don't know. But you live there, you're the one who was there. So you could explain it. We can't. We're trying to figure it out and piece things together from, like you said, almost 20 years ago.
It's been my experience that when everybody tells the same story, because witnesses always tell a different version, when everybody's telling the same story, somebody's rehearsed the story. But I don't know. You're asking me about something I cannot answer. Wait. Let me answer.
Go ahead.
You're asking me about something I cannot answer for you.
Okay.
Okay? Now, regardless of that, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about the girls? Or are we talking about pick a direction?
Aren't they both your children?
They are all my
Okay,
children.
there
Yes.
we go.
But I'm saying, what do you?
We're talking about your daughters. Well, let's go back to you telling me that she was dating a girl, correct? And she was what?
Go back and do the math.
Okay.
Did you
Tomato,
Did you
right?
report that or do anything about that?
We talked to the police, Houston PD, about it, but it didn't go anywhere.
Okay. Did you? Okay, so you find that? Do you think that's wrong for him to do that?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, then why did you do it?
I didn't do it. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So yes, almost. Why did you lie about her age to you?
Why did I what?
Why did you lie about your age to her? She says that she was listening, working at the.
Mm-hmm.
You come in there all the time and hit on her. And she tells me that you told her that you were in like mid-20s or something like that. And she
Late
finds out,
20s.
and y'all date, have sex for 3 to 4 months, okay? Right?
Go ahead.
You get arrested in LaPorte off Sylvan Beach, and then she finds out you're almost 40 or something like that.
No, I was mid-30s.
35.
Yeah.
You think that on a was wrong, right? Well, yeah, it's illegal. Years old, juvenile, old, but didn't you do the same thing? Technically, age discrepancy wise, lied about your age to her.
I did. And she was almost, and I didn't go in there and flirt with her all the time. I met her at, everybody worked there, and I used to talk to everybody. And one day I came by, she was outside crying. And that's how I got her number.
Why'd you lie about your age?
I don't remember.
But you think it's wrong?
I believe at the time, and that's my daughter.
Okay, so
That's the difference. My daughter.
You would have been fine with it?
I would have been fine with it, but what can you do? You know, that my kids do a lot of things in life that I don't agree with. Okay, but I can't stop them. It's their age.
Just saying, yeah, all these people are coming out like you're saying, they're all having the same story. You can either look at it one or two different ways. Yeah,
they don't all have the same story.
They conspire. Well, didn't you just tell me that?
No.
The
They're consistent. There's a
all
lot
the
of
consistent
consistencies.
statements. All the consistent statements.
They're not consistent statements.
Then what? Let's go back to what you were telling me about then. Use
Which
your word.
part?
Use your verbiage then that you just told me.
You're saying it's consistent statements. What we gotta make the distinction here. My kids with my ex-wife are saying is not the same as what said, and it has nothing to do or is even similar to my relationship with.
Okay.
These are completely different things. The allegations are completely different.
So it says that you go in there and fondle her breast. Says you have to give me your virginity and drills holes in the wall, right? So I go and find a she corroborates that. She gets emotional, right? She says it's weird and it's stuck with me.
Okay.
Fondling of the breast, going into the room, touching her. She has to lock her door. It's a disclosure. The one time she goes over to your trailer, it's already happened. She got touched. She got touched.
At the trailer.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was never alone with her.
She was there for a weekend, right?
No, she was not. She was there for one night.
One night?
One night.
Okay, well.
One night and...
She remembers it. Listen, she remembers it. Okay? It's stuck with her. All right? She has flashbacks. She can't even sit in the... She tells me, I got to get out. I can't listen to it. I saw therapy for it. And we're getting therapy records, too. So, we'll get her therapy records and see what she told the psychologist.
Okay.
All right? And I have to contact these people because I'm tasked with that. Right? It's not like they're like, you know what? I really hate David, Dad. Let's go make up some allegations and report this to the police. Then turn around and contact this Detective Reed and tell you this is what's happening. Not 30 seconds into the interview. Oh, I wouldn't put anything past him. He did it to my daughters too. I contact tells me you want to fondle her breast. Starts when she's drill holes in the wall. You want to take her virginity at 6 years old, right? Okay, so I'm like, okay, well, You know what I mean? To be fair, let's talk to the other daughters. So I go find a down, gets emotional, can barely look. And she's like, yep. I used to watch him drill holes in the wall so he could see the power. It's weird and it stuck with me. And then you want to give me some story about how what? Oh, she was dating a oh, that's messed up. And you did the same thing. And then you want to tell me you took a polygraph. There's no polygraph in here. You want to come out and tell us the truth? Huh? So I can go back to your daughters that you abused? Let them know, you know what, he's sorry. He apologized. They're your daughters, bro. One's had to see therapy, they all hate you. How do you want to work it?
You have no idea what I did. When they found her down here in a hotel room being molested.
Who's?
How come you don't know that?
Well, who is
You know
he?
all this shit, but you don't know that.
No one's told me about it.
He's a guy that was convicted for molesting her.
No one's told me about it.
Imagine that.
So tell me about it.
Imagine that.
Tell me about it.
So you don't know everything, do you?
No.
No.
But now you can give me something to follow up on.
I'll tell you what you do know about that much of a story that's that deep.
Well, tell me about it so I can get that high up.
All right, fill us in. I mean,
Moved in with after I moved out, ostensibly as a babysitter. He developed now. Keep in mind that this occurred after I got out of jail this last time.
Okay.
So it was 04, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I forget what happened. He had some other guy living there with her, just there as the babysitter.
Do you remember his name or anything like that? No, not the other guy.
Married to him, you can ask her.
Okay.
Okay. And I had a relationship with her at that point, a good relationship. We did things together with her other siblings along.
Mm-hmm.
Never had any issues, but as came in, she began to get more and more distant. And I had conversations with her about this. And she just said, oh, well, she's a kid, let her do whatever she's going to do. And it got to the point where I confronted and told him that I thought he was a child molester and that he was doing something with her. He denied it. I asked her. She denied it. At that point, I was cut off completely. No more contact.
Okay.
All right. Pasadena PD picked up, they had some kind of fire at the house, and I'm getting no information about it all from her mother. I was cut off from everything. Pasadena PD, they had a fire, and they were all staying at a hotel. Pasadena PD rolled through the hotel, running plate numbers, came up with somebody had a warrant. They went and knocked on the door. They found bed together.
How old was
Late
how old was when this happened?
2004, you said?
Yeah, 04, 05. He's convicted. He's on the sex offender list. Funny, nobody mentioned that to you.
No.
Wow.
So and this is part of why we're talking, because
No, what you're talking to me to is to try to get me to trip up because you're trying to build a case. I know what you're doing. I got it. Okay? The fact that you're going back so far is suspicious, but whatever. You're going to do what you're going to do. Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, like, as of what we see now, if no one, nobody ever saw justice or they were abused, no matter how far we go back, don't you think people kind of deserve justice?
I mean, with these things, they change the statute of limitations and everything for that reason.
I've done nothing wrong.
Okay. But it's just...
I've offered to take a polygraph. I don't know what else you want from me.
Okay, so you'll take a polygraph?
I will take a polygraph.
Okay. So, 2004, Pasadena Police. He was a babysitter.
Yeah, after they dug into it, they found that he'd been a babysitter for some other people as well and had similar problems. So,
Okay.
that's really funny that nobody's mentioned that to you.
No. It is funny.
It is funny.
Any other information that you want to give us?
So what happened with the situation? You said you went and talked to HPD, and then they kind of didn't really do anything.
They had a unit come out and
This guy, or she's seeing this guy?
no, she went and stayed with her mother, who only lived a few blocks away, and my older brother. And they ended up getting together at some point. She was sneaking over there to see him. If I think about his name, I may come up with it, but at this point, it eludes me.
What's your relationship with your brother?
He's dead.
He passed away?
He passed away.
I'm trying to think of someone we could talk to who's around you and the girls during that time period that could kind of contradict what we're getting, if anything.
It took police 2 years following these interviews to bring a charge of sexual assault of a child against Earl. That would be in relation to the abuse of his daughter back in the 90s. According to his daughter, Earl had sexually assaulted her every night for 2 years, starting when she was just 14 years old, while they lived at a trailer park in Texas. She would tell detectives that he would do things that made her uncomfortable, such as acting like he was tickling her, but instead was groping her, and would make her bend over in a sexual manner if she was wearing a skirt, for example. The abuse had also taken place while she was sleeping. On one occasion, she remembered waking up while it was happening. During that incident, she felt him touch her private area for a moment, and then he left the room. The abuse finally came to an end after 2 years, when Earl's daughter began dating an older guy from the trailer park. Earl told his daughter that she could do whatever she wanted with this older boy, but only if he was allowed to take her virginity. On the night of that conversation, Earl was said to have tried to have sex with his daughter, but ultimately she managed to fight him off and ran to her grandmother's home, which was also located within the same trailer park. Earl's daughter would go on to tell detectives that she told her grandma, but she didn't call the police. After being charged in 2019, Earl walked free from jail after posting bail, and even though his new charge was out in the open, his YouTube channels continued to grow. You see, much of his audience knew of this charge, but a large portion continued to support him because he twisted the situation and made out as if he was being targeted by Shell and the police department due to his auditing activities. In December of 2022, Earl went on a 3-day trial over the child sexual abuse charge. But in the end, the jury couldn't decide whether to find him guilty or not. It was a hung jury. Waiting on jury They were hung last PM 6v6. Judges giving them some time today to try and work out details and come to a decision, but looking like a mistrial. Earl's spirit was at an all-time high, and it was all smiles for the camera. To say that he was confident that he'd at least beat the case for the time being would be an understatement. However, the reality of the situation was about to hit him like a ton of bricks. You see, when the jury returned, they finally came to a decision, and that decision was guilty. Earl David Worden was sentenced to 20 years in prison shortly after that picture was taken.